Hello and welcome to this Counter-Strike video on the tail end of a tumultuous 2020. I am Boggs and we're going to be discussing Cloud9 here today. There's plenty to talk about in Counter-Strike, particularly in North America as of late. But if we jump to an international roster with a North American organization, go to Cloud9. Well, there was some news that broke yesterday, some very surprising news at that. Kassad leaving Cloud9. In this article, written by the great writer over at HLTV Striker, Kassad and Alex had a stylistic clash according to general manager Gen.G. This led to Kassad leaving the Cloud9 squad, which had very disappointing results, I have to say. I don't think anybody on the Cloud9 team would be happy with their recent results, with their results as a roster since their inception. Apparently Kassad, least of all, chalking a lot of that up to a stylistic difference between himself and Alex the IGL. This new Cloud9 roster replaced the original of Floppy, OC, Sonic, JT, and MOTM, keeping Floppy, but not keeping OC the Opera, instead replacing him with Woxic, Alex of course taking over that IGL spot, Floppy retaining his spot as a tag coming in, and Mezzy, a fellow British player, joining the Cloud9 roster with their manager and IGL of the same lineage. And Mezzy, I think, was a big gamble by Cloud9, but he is not the topic of this video, nor should he be the topic of the discussion surrounding Cloud9 as of right now. That main discussion is around Kassad leaving. An article that broke today, though, written by Professor, is that Kassad is set to rejoin his former 100 Thieves and Renegades teammates on EXTREMUM. The Aussie-New Zealand squad with the one Norwegian Jakim, minus JKS who was on Complexity, are looking to really make waves again, getting a new organization, and now reuniting with their former coach who led them to such international glory as they were able to achieve back on Renegades and then with 100 Thieves. This roster really showed the power of Kassad as a force multiplier and as a coach, really bringing this roster from middling results to a team that could compete with the very best, and did have their day. So this roster really is a good one with a lot of potential, but a lot of that potential was brought out from Kassad himself. Kassad's results with the Renegades and 100 Thieves rosters really gave me hope for him on the Cloud9 squad. But then you go ahead and look at Cloud9's results since they became a team. It started off with a really rough opening matchup against Vertigo Pro in Flashpoint's number 2 season, where Vertigo Pro not only beat Cloud9, but beat everybody else and won the tournament. But one thing I'd like to note about this Vertigo Pro team is that they played some of the best Counter-Strike they have played as a team over the last couple months, over that Flashpoint 2 and the DreamHack Open December CIS tournament just a couple weeks ago. So really this Vertigo Pro roster had been playing such good Counter-Strike going into these last few weeks. Cloud9 being Vertigo Pro being Cloud9's first opponent rather, was a big test for this new roster, and they struck out. 2-0, they did get close, losing 16-14 on map number 2. Yes, but still, rough first map, and Vertigo Pro really had a lot of control of that series. OG, the other team that Cloud9 lost to in Flashpoint 2, the second finalist of Flashpoint 2, losing to Vertigo Pro 2-1 in the final while beating them earlier in the group stage 2-1. Still, rough start, to be expected, brand new team going up against some pretty heavy hitters. That result you can chalk up and be like, okay, that's expected, let's move on. They move into Blast. They take out NIP 2-0. Great start. Even better, they take out the Juggernaut themselves. They beat Complexity 2-1. That's a fantastic result for Cloud9. Things are looking up. Things are looking great for this new roster. Maybe they are not going to have so many growing pains. Maybe they're going to be able to just jump right in and start taking the fight to teams across the world stage. Then they go up against Mousesports. 2-0 loss. Okay, yeah, Mousesports is good. Alright. Next tournament. DreamHack Masters Winter. Here, Cloud9 go up against Gambit, ENCE, and Spirit. They beat the latter, but lose to the first one mentioned. They lose to Gambit 2-0. I think that's a bit of a bad result for Cloud9. They should have beaten ENCE, they should have beaten Spirit. And then they go out to Mousesports yet again, to be expected, but the results will still be similar there, 2-0. I think that loss against Gambit was a bit of a sign to Kassad that maybe things needed to change. They move into the Midnight 9-5. A 2-1 win over Pact? Not something that an organization with the aspirations of Cloud9 would like to accept, and then an 0-2 loss to Fours. We enter the player break afterwards, and Kassad leaves the team 12 days after. Yes, we don't know if the Kassad move was due strictly to the poor performances of Cloud9 due to the poor results of Cloud9, or whether or not Kassad had wanted to just join EXTREMUM, a combination of the two. If it was just stars aligning for him, he wanted to leave and there was another opportunity ready for him. Either way, Kassad has left, and the coaching role has now created a large void here. The problem too being the fact that there was a stylistic clash between Kassad, one of the premier coaches I would say in the scene right now, particularly one of the premier coaches who has not been banned. 37 coaches have been banned due to the ESIC report. 37. It's a lot of coaches that are not able to work, not able to be in server. Some of them are still working, but that's another story for a different day. Kassad is a great coach. He's a great coach to really bring teams to another level. And now Cloud9 do not have that coach. I understand Cloud9 built this roster around Alex. I understand that the goal of this team, or the goal of Gen.G, was to find a roster that works around Alex. Yes, he kept Floppy, and he could have kept OC too if OC would have wanted to stay. Building with Ezatag, Woxic, and then Mezzi. Mezzi has proven himself to be a decent player. Woxic and Ezatag established quantities. Floppy as well being a solid player when he's allowed to go full frag hungry. You look at the average age of this team too, I just realized that. They're 23.2 years old. It's a relatively young roster, so a lot of potential here. But I think when you have players like Alex, like Woxic, like Ezatag, you expect a little more. When you're playing for an org like Cloud9, you're expecting a little more. When you have the price tags that some of these players are demanding, you expect a lot out of this roster, and this roster has not delivered that as of yet. The question now being for Cloud9 though, who do they replace Kassad with? Who can they bring in to fill those massive shoes of a coach with a very good pedigree? Again, 37 coaches have been banned. Those coaches are off the table. They're not available to be coaches for this Cloud9 squad. So who then do you have? If you want to stay with North America, you have the assistant coach and analyst of Cloud9 already, Mix. I think Mix could be a great option for Cloud9. He's already in the roster. He already knows these players. He's already within the organization. He's comfortable with these players, I would assume. And Mix, he's a good analyst. He's a great guy. If they want to get somebody other than Mix, though, you have to look outside. I would say MCE would be my best option if you don't go with Mix. MCE would be a phenomenal choice for any English-speaking roster, let alone this Cloud9 team who could really use the help. MCE, he could fill the void. I think he could. Gen.G has also said he's willing to take a gamble on this coaching position. If you really want to take a gamble, look to Munster. Former coach of Party Astronauts and current coach of X-Whalers. I think Munster could be a good gamble choice if Gen.G really wanted to go down that route, but really I'm looking to Mix and MCE. I'm finding all these coaches have M name too. Things you think about. But you look at those teams. You look at those. You look at those coaches. You look at those coaches, and you have some coaches that are very good. But you think of the void that Kassad is creating here. It's a lot for anybody to step up and fill. Cloud9 need to find somebody to fill that void. Cloud9 need to find somebody to be able to guide this team, to be able to take this team to the level that they can play at, to the level that is according to their organization, to the level that can stand up to the name of Cloud9, an organization with a major trophy under their belt. There's a lot of question marks surrounding this roster. There have been since its inception, and since its, I wouldn't say disastrous, but I would say lackluster start. And now with Kassad leaving, that's a bigger question mark around this team. I provided my solutions. I would say either go with Mix, MCE, or Munster if you really want to take a gamble. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If there's any non-banned coaches that you think could be a good fit, free agents preferably. Don't think Cloud9 are going to want to take a coach from another roster, and I don't think there's really any coaches that would want to leave their current rosters. And also, if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. It helps out a lot. Subscribe as well, please, if you're new. And do hit that bell, too, to be notified whenever I do post one of these great Counter-Strike videos. Folks, hope you have enjoyed. Hope you have some solutions, too, to this coaching problem. I'd like to read those down in the comments below. Have yourselves a fantastic night, and I'll talk to you all in the next one.